What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another video. Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate it. Now, if my analytics tell me anything at all, it's that y'all like me getting straight to the point. So we're gonna hop straight into it today. And today's video is on light trails. Now, with light trails, they are an interesting and pretty fun photography trick to be doing. You can work them into video as well, and I'm gonna touch on that towards the end, but the main focus today is photography. Now, whenever you're going out to shoot light trails, there's a few things that you're going to be pretty much like an absolute need if you're wanting to do this cleanly and properly and everything, right? That's gonna be some form of stabilization source. I highly recommend a sturdy tripod. That's gonna be the best way to do it. You can use other things. I was getting some shots of a highway one time, and on the edge of the bridge right there where I was standing, there's probably about a foot of concrete wide, and I put the camera down on that, and I held it down, and I took the picture, and I was holding by like 3 or 4 different points on the camera, just completely still, and the image was able to come out pretty good. So you can do that also, but the tripod is definitely gonna be easier. And then on top of that, what I highly recommend using is some kind of remote shutter. Now that could be an actual remote shutter release that you hook up to your camera, or it could be, I don't know if the other brands have it, but I know for a fact Canon does because I use it all the time, an app on your phone. So I'll put my camera on the tripod, I'll have everything set up and whatnot, and I'll just hit the shutter with my phone. That way I'm not introducing any kind of camera shake into the image whatsoever. Because once you start introducing camera shake, there's no going back, you have to redo it. Now, there's a few different kinds of light trails that you're probably looking into doing. The first one and the most common one, I think, is any kind of like automotive on the road, city streets, stuff like that. Those kind of pictures. That is definitely the most common one, and they're all pretty much the same on how you do them. You're just gonna have to change your settings up just a little bit. Now, whenever you're doing this, I do recommend shooting your camera in manual, even if you're not really sure what or how to do that. It's pretty simple once you get your settings set in. But what's gonna make these images what they are is that shutter speed. All right, so on your shutter, wherever your button is, crank that shutter down, and down a lot. Some people try to do long exposure shots at like a second or 2 seconds, and in my opinion that's really just not enough. I want these lights going nice and smoothly across the entire frame. So whenever I do mine, I do it normally somewhere between 20 and 30 seconds depending on what I'm trying to do. Now, if you're on a bridge trying to get like a highway shot, I definitely recommend going a little bit further, because that'll allow vehicles, as long as they're not stuck in traffic, to enter your frame, go all the way through, and exit the frame. So all you get is just that nice clean stroke of light. And especially if you start with like a car halfway through, the light carrying through and the cars behind them, it'll just help clean everything up and make it look a little bit better, Now, a really important part about doing stuff like this, like I said, was shooting in manual, and that to do that properly, you do need to understand your exposure triangle. So when you crank that shutter down a whole lot, you really need to be doing this at night, because obviously that's when it's gonna look the best. When you take that shutter down a lot, it's gonna let a lot of light in, all the light in, especially if you're up at like towards that 30-second range. So that aperture, you're gonna need to raise that, most likely a pretty decent bit. I normally find myself somewhere around in between like f12ish to like a low 20, somewhere in there, and your ISO is probably gonna be on the lower end. But depending on where you're shooting and what you're shooting, that's subject to change. So if your images are just coming out too bright and you've got your shutter, backed off all the way, crank that aperture up a little bit, try and go a little bit higher. If you can't, take that ISO down as low as you can. And if it's still too bright and it's just not looking good, make sure you're shooting in RAW, by the way. Very slowly start taking your shutter faster. So like from 30 to like, I don't know the second increments, maybe like 28 or 26 or something like that. I would still take the shot at 30 seconds and let it be just a tad bit overexposed. And if you're shooting in RAW in your post-processing area, whenever you get back to edit your photos, you'll probably most likely be able to fix that. I highly doubt you won't, unless you just completely butcher it. But, you know, take one there, take it a little bit slower, or a little bit faster, I guess, and then a little bit faster, until you got it pretty much just how you want it. And guys, that's really about it. That's light trails in, I don't know, how long have I been recording? 3 minutes? That's all you need to understand. Get your exposure triangle right and make that shutter your biggest priority. But don't shoot in shutter priority. Shoot in manual. So another way you could do light trails is with something like this. This is not colorful and it is not fun, but it will definitely work, and it is a light. You know, you could take something like this and say you're not trying to get cars, you're just trying to get artistic, right? You're trying to just be cool. This thing is not going down. Jesus. Hold on. Pause. All right. I pretty much got it. All right, so yeah, using like a light like this, if you have a colorful light, that'll probably look a lot cooler. But if you have your subject, whoever it is, sit perfectly still. You know, you take a picture of them, or maybe it's just like a cityscape or something, or a cool looking house or a car. That's gonna be a lot easier because obviously those aren't gonna move. But you start your picture, turn your light on, you know, do your fancy painting. That's what it's called, light painting. Do all that around it, and boom, you'll get those nice swirls of light. But some people will think, well, like, Jacob, you're in the picture too, so isn't that gonna mess it up? And I'm gonna say, no, it will not. If you try to do light painting and you go through, the camera is gonna record only the light. As long as you are moving swiftly with a purpose, and you are not in the frame when it started, and you're out of the frame when it ended, you will not be in the image. I'm gonna say that one more time because I think it sounded kind of confusing. As long as you start outside of the frame, then boom, picture starts, and then you come through, and you end outside of the frame after the image is done taken and that shutter is closed, you yourself will not be in the image, but that bar of light that I just did right there will stay there. All right? There we go. And for video, that's gonna be the last one real quick. So not all cameras do this. I know the R6 does, and it has an in-body like time-lapse feature. So I definitely recommend doing this one on a tripod. I wouldn't do the whole just holding it still thing because it's gonna last, you know, a long time. Like the outro to this video that I'll play like a clip of it over my face right now, that is a time-lapse. So if you do it a certain way, what I consider, you know, the wrong way, depending on what you're trying to do, everything's gonna look really crisp when all the cars are going through and stuff like that. But just like on the long exposure shots, if you roll that shutter back, but not as much, you'll get this cool like little light dashing effect through the photo, or through the video, I guess. So for that, I'd probably have your shutter somewhere around like 2 seconds, maybe 3, a lower one, somewhere around there, right? So with that, you'll be able to have one car have a dash here, a dash here, a dash here, a dash here, going through the road, right? And if I already showed the video, so it hopefully makes a little bit more sense on what exactly I'm trying to get at. And guys, that is light painting right there. That is long exposure, light trail shots. And that's how you do it. I love doing them. I do them quite frequently, all the time. I was messing around with some light painting today, actually, before I came out here and recorded this. So it is a lot of fun. It's kind of hard to get right the first time, but once you understand what it is you're doing and you get that first shot, easy, 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 easy. And I promise you're gonna love doing it. All right, but guys, that is gonna be it for this one right here. I'm trying to do a little bit faster today, straight to the point, not getting around and doing all this fancy stuff. I did get a lot of positive feedback on my photo vlog, and I will be doing another one. So there will be another one coming out in the coming week sometime. So keep an eye out for that. If you do go out and take any long exposure photography, light trails, light painting, anything like that, my Instagram and my Twitter are in the description below. Tag me in it. I want to see it. You know, be like, hey, he taught me how to do this, or he helped me learn how to do this. Let me see what you're making, guys. I'd really appreciate that. All right, guys, but like I said, that is gonna wrap everything up for today. If you liked what you saw today, drop a like on this video. It is greatly appreciated. Subscribe if you are not already and you would like to see more. Ring that little notification bell if you want. It'd be nice. That way YouTube lets you know whenever I put something out, and you could drop everything you're doing and come watch it. Sounds like a plan. That sounds like a good idea right there. All right, guys, but until next time, I'll see you later. Peace.